I was born on the Isle of Sheppey. I was born in a house on the Isle of Sheppey. My parents' names? My parents are called Marilyn and Jeff, or Mal as she's called, and Geoff as my one of my nephews calls him, the way he spells his name. You know, I hadn't had contact with my parents for three, 4 years, about 3.5 years I think it was. And that was through real difficult times as well, where I didn't have any contact with them when I was in the psychiatric hospital in March 2020. And that's something that will always stick with me, because that was, you know, a time when I probably needed them most, but they weren't there. And the people that were there were friends. I've got some really good friends from school, as far back as primary school. I went to primary school at halfway houses, which I believe some of it's getting knocked down now. I don't use it as a school anymore. 16 onwards, you know, now and then I started doing acid, and I was doing trips. A friend of mine who I haven't really seen for a long time, we done it together a few times, and the hallucinations from that, I mean, you're talking about a little square tab that you put in your tongue, let it dissolve and swallow it. Unreal. And I don't think, in particular acids, I don't feel that helped me at all later on in life in terms of my mental health.
So I was quite young then. I was working, so I was anywhere, sort of 16 to 19. You took that acid and you was fucking seeing things on the walls that were talking to you. And next to halfway primary school and Shennis East Club, there's an alley. And this alley, as we looked up it, we were just walking around at the time, neither of us drove. And it just turned into a big river, and we had to work our way up it. It's fucking bone dry. And all the cars that were parked on the road, up in halfway, they were like on a treadmill, so all the wheels were going around, the road was moving. We saw a concrete bollard at the garage, and the whole world was on that axis, spinning round. That was the centre. Once you start coming down from that, fucking hell, that, you know, you even then, I can remember it now, and I look back now and I think, fucking, what was you doing? The thoughts of, you felt depressed, you did, but I didn't know what being depressed was then. I was young, you know, it was just, I feel rough because I've had an acid tab on my tongue. Yeah, it's definitely, for me, contributed towards mental health, definitely. And I'm just saying it now and thinking about how I felt back then and that come down. That feeling, fucking shit on them.
So initially, I worked, when I left school, I worked in a factory, and just working very little money, earning, I think it was about 60 quid a week. So I left school, I think it was 16, with no qualifications at all. Sort of during that time, I always felt that I was quite good at listening to people and talking to people, and, you know, helping emotionally and just listening really. I was always quite a good listener, believe it or not. And my dad got into social work, qualified as a social worker for many years, and still is. And then years later, I think about 9 years after working in the factory, I got into social work. So that's what I was doing before personal training. And as much as I wanted to get out of it towards the end, you know, it was such a good experience and really helped me grow up quite a lot. I still had lots to do in terms of growing up, but it was a real eye-opener. Some of the families I was working with, some of the children I worked with, the abuse that you would read about, the abusers that you would work with, the victims, you know, worked with them all. Some, you know, serious cases that have been on, you know, in the local tabloids or in the big tabloids as well, you know, some that have been in the press that would make your hair stand on end. Some really horrible cases, and ones that I will never forget as well. So that was quite tough, because you start to think that everyone is like that. You know you're not, but you start to think everyone around you is like that, and you kind of lose a little bit of faith in humanity and in society, because all you start to see is the bad stuff. All you see is, are they an abuser? Are they this? Are they that? So I worked from young offenders right up to working with care leavers, and it was really interesting. I would say I enjoyed 80% of it. It's just towards the end, my passion was elsewhere, and I could see myself still working with people that I wanted to do, hugely, but also working with people with fitness and exercise, and then later on obviously sort of helping people with their mental health. Not always been the easiest person to probably live with at times, and that's more about probably me pushing people away, and that's something with in terms of borderline personality disorder that I've been diagnosed with is quite a common trait. You know, you push people away so you don't get hurt. So if I kept my distance from people and I had control of it, of that relationship, by not being too close, then I was in control of that and I couldn't get hurt. And unfortunately, it wasn't until I was diagnosed that it all kind of made sense why I sort of acted in a certain way and behaved in a certain way. And it's never through, you know, choice. You know, I'm responsible for my own behaviour, but there are underlying issues that unfortunately contribute towards why I'm doing certain things. It's not an excuse at all. I've never used my mental health as an excuse, but when I got diagnosed, I read all about it. I was already quite confident about what the diagnosis would be, and it just made sense. It all just come together. I felt, I didn't have to do this, but I felt I need to go and get an answer to the behaviours that have gone for years and why I've been a certain way. And by that I mean, why have I had trouble sustaining relationships? Why have I self-harmed? Why do I have thoughts of killing myself? The list goes on. Why do I not feel loved by anyone? And it's still, to this day, a very, very difficult thing for me, and it's a daily routine to work on these things and to feel wanted and rejected and stuff. Getting that diagnosis was just like, the light bulb went on, right, this is now the therapy I need, because if I was going to get help, I needed to know what I was working with. And it's the same with any diagnosis, whether it's a physical thing or an emotional thing, you need to know what's wrong before you can say, well, this is the treatment you need. And unfortunately with the mental health stuff and with the personality disorders, there's so many different personality disorders. You've got bipolar as well, and there's so many different things. So getting that was like, right, this is the help I need. Went and found the appropriate therapist, and I was going up to Gillingham every week for a good 6 months or so. You're never going to be better and rid of it, but you're going to try and work towards managing it better and understanding it better, which definitely I have done now. But you're never going to be rid of it. Like I say, it's a daily thing. You don't just get a mental health problem like personality disorder and then you're better. It doesn't work like that. It's not like you get a headache, take a tablet, and it's gone. It's a fucker every day. And then it was Christmas, December, can't remember the year. Been out for the night, 3 of my mates. I had a car, a Series 1 Escort Turbo, which was quite sought after even then, and now they're like a classic worth fortune. There's not many of them about. Wasn't taxed, wasn't insured, it was a lovely, lovely motor. And that night, no one really wanted to drive for whatever reason, and I said, fuck it, I'll drive. Took the car. We went out, clubbing, had a few drinks. I only had a few, I did have a few. I wasn't paralytic or anything like that, but I was drunk. I shouldn't have driven, but I did. And we got onto a certain bit of road near to where we live, driving too fast, had a very, very serious accident where we ended up on the roof. All of us were injured, 2 of them were seriously injured, to the point where the car went over on its roof. One of the passengers got flung out of the back window. I think the other one come out of another window. One was inside, I was inside, my arm trapped under the door. I literally had to pull the metal up from my arm to pull it out. And I apart from one person in the car, I couldn't find the others. I found one and he was halfway up the road with his laying face down in the road, massive hole in the back of his head. And as a consequence of that, I nearly killed, nearly killed a couple of people there, well, all of us, but Two of them in particular, you know, was seriously, you know, had serious head injuries. One of them had really bad facial scarring. Yeah, but I'm just glad they're all right. You know, they've continued to make, you know, they made a full recovery and have lived life and all the rest of it. But that night, you know, I nearly killed people. And it was, you know, it haunts me to this day. It really, really bothered me, obviously, for what I'd done. It was wrong all the same. So yeah, it was pretty traumatic. And my parents, like, you know, fucking hated me for it. And again, I needed a hug then. I needed them to say I'll be all right. And you know, I felt I was being sort of punished for it when actually I've done something wrong and I need pointing in the right direction, not fucking hated like everyone else does. So yeah, that was pretty shit. So I've just been to see where I used to live, where I grew up pretty much, at Sunnyside Avenue. And you know, there's a lot of memories, not just from that house where I lived at number 32, but at that particular road there was a really tight little community up there, which I was a big part of. But also brings back a few bad memories as well. Family stuff, arguments, losing people, finding out that your best friend has been diagnosed with cancer, who unfortunately later died. And I'm still friends with his mum and dad and his brother and their family. I still see them, I still talk to them regularly. They're, you know, good support for me as well. Right. So this is where Darren lives, or lived I should say, bless him. Hopefully they're in. That hasn't changed much. I can hear movement. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine,
right?
thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Come to show off my tattoo.
Oh, yeah, I was proud of you both.
I was proud of Kev because he actually had a tattoo.
Yeah, I know. I told my...
So as much as there's sad thoughts and some not so nice stuff to remember, there's also some really good stuff as well. You know, it's great that we've kept in touch and we continue to talk. And that Darren, my friend who unfortunately passed away due to cancer, he's never forgotten. And that's something, you know, that will always be with me until the day I die. And until the day hopefully I'll see him again.
He needs the brother figure. Yeah, sadly.
That.
Not sadly because he needs you.
No. It's,
You
I'll
know,
quite happily
it's-
sort of be there for him.
You don't understand everybody's reaction inside to a death.
No,
You
that's
just
right.
assume, yeah, well, we got to get on with it, but
Yeah.
you don't.
I wish you all the best anyway. And
Thank you very much, yeah.
Nice to see you.
And to you.
And you'll be famous soon.
Let me know when it's on.
We will, definitely. Thanks for your
Make
time.
sure you get my thing signed.
See you later.
Ta-da.
Bye. I actually used to get on top of that roof, jump off there, and run round the back, and wonder how I got in there. That was my room. There, that top right. Managed to get out there, jump out, and escape when I needed to.
there was lots of fields, unmade road. Loved it, absolutely loved it. What more could a kid want? So I'll tell you what, I'll always also tell you on the way up here, I haven't gone into this a great deal, and I'll just touch base on it. Quite a difficult one. So up here, as you all know, there's new road football pitch, and there's a little, what do you call it, like changing room, little sort of block building changing room, and we had a really good coach, and that was where I kind of learned the fundamentals, and we got a certificate for the training we did. I've still got that certificate actually. Probably about 86, 84 to 86, something like that. So I'd have been 9 or 10, something like that if I've got my maths right. There was another guy that came along. I'm sure his name was, and once he was there, we always thought he was a bit fucking odd. He was a bit fucking strange. And I remember when my dad asked me right by that changing room, basically if he'd done anything inappropriate, and at that time I said no, but unfortunately he did. Yeah, unfortunately he did. Nothing, too extreme, but he did. So, however you want to call it, sexual assault. There was, he'd done something he shouldn't have done, and I've shut that away for many years. And do you know what? I'd even kind of forgotten about it until I started having my counselling, and it was then that, I spoke to my partner at the time about it as well. And it brought so much out. It unlocks so much when you're in counselling and talking about stuff. And so I've kind of told whoever's watching now, which is quite a big thing. And if the people that are watching this are the ones that listened to me when I told them, which is, like I say, 3 people, then big thanks to them for listening and hopefully keeping that, until now, confidential. The reason we was asked about him if he had done anything wrong was because he had to someone else elsewhere and went to prison for it. And that's why they was asking questions. At that time I was just like, you shit yourself, and you're kind of like, no, don't, you feel bad, you feel wrong, you feel dirty, you feel like you've done something wrong, almost. And that's been shut away for a long time. But now, it is what it is. There's kids and people that have been abused far, far worse than the incident that I experienced. Doesn't make it any less serious, but yeah, not fucking great. So obviously something that's been there for a long time. So something else that's obviously subconsciously been there niggling away, unfortunately, just to add to the add fuel to the fire. There you go. You good? Out of breath, you two, yeah?
Three.
Ready? Go!
Go!